hit enter.
Yeah.
Here it is. Okay, got it.
Okay, lovely. Yeah, just going to pause it at the beginning.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, got it. I've paused it, right?
If you want to, yeah, if you want to pause it and also turn the sound off, so we'll just have it running in the back.
Okay, got it, got it.
Lovely. Okay, great. Okay, so
you have to understand, it did take me a year to control the mouse. Okay.
you do very well. Do very well indeed. I've had a few guests that have needed a bit more technical help, so you've done very well. So I appreciate you taking the time and trouble to locate it. That's very much appreciated.
Right.
So I'm just going to give it 2 minutes more just to make sure there's nobody else that is still to come in. I think we've got most people though. Just seeing if any got any technical issues or anything. Okay, I think we're all good to go. So I'll just say hello to everybody that's logged on. So thank you everybody for joining us for this tonight's watch along of the Persuaders episode's Nuisance Value. So some people have emailed me some questions, and obviously I will ask them to Ms. Ventura during the evening as we go along. If anybody has any questions that you would like to ask, either in your minds now or as we go, based on something that you see on screen or part of the conversation, and just type the question into the chat, and I will read it out to Ms. Ventura and we'll discuss it as we go along. So basically everybody hopefully can hear us and see us. We won't be able to see you unfortunately, but you can communicate to us through the chat function. So we very much know that obviously you're there and part of the evening. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to in a minute briefly introduce the evening. But if everybody wants to get the episode in front of them, either on their DVD or Blu-ray copy, and just sort of have it either at the title card where it says Spain on the first frame of the episode, or just ready literally to play it from their DVD or Blu-ray menu, and we'll go from there. Okay, so just give people a few seconds to make sure that they've got everything ready in front of them. If anybody's got any technical issues, please do just drop a message into the chat, and we'll do what we can to help you. Okay, I think everyone's okay. Okay, so I think if you're ready to begin, Viviane, we'll get started, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready to get started?
I'm fine. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I think everybody else, I think, is ready to go. Yep, perfect. So welcome to everybody for tonight's watch along with Nuisance Value. We're very fortunate to be joined by Mr. Viviane Ventura, the guest star of this particular episode, and I think one of the best episodes of the whole Persuaders series. If for those who aren't familiar with Ms. Ventura's work, obviously apart from the Persuaders, Viviane has guest starred in numerous TV series over the years, including The Wild Wild West, I Spy, The Saint, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and other credits include films like The High Wind in Jamaica, and and also the mini-series Sins, which starred Timothy Dalton, Joan Collins, and Gene Kelly. Is there any other credits, Viviane, you'd like to add to that?
Well, I did a wonderful film with Cliff Richards, Sir Cliff Richards.
Oh, fabulous.
Finders Keepers.
Mm-hmm.
And that was an iconic movie, I must say, because I played the lead in it. I actually sang in it, which was a bit horrific, but it was a song called Paella, so I can be excused, you know. But yeah, I did. And I also was in Lord Jim with Peter O'Toole,
Oh,
where I played the granddaughter of the chief of the village. And I did also three very, very iconic movies in Italy. One called Il Cornuto with Lando Buzzanca, where I played a Sicilian wife. Parliamo di Donne with Alberto Sordi and Marcello Mastroianni. And I did a wonderful movie called Un Italiano a Varsavia with Antonio Cifariello, which were, you know, landmark movies in the Italian cinema. Not because of me, but because of the script and the storyline and my co-stars, of course. It was a combination of everything. I also did a television series for France with a wonderful actor called Louis Vell, called Docteur Caraïbe, which we filmed in Guadeloupe during 6 months. And I played the doctor's wife, which was an island girl from Guadeloupe in French. Then, you know, I did a film which actually, it's called Battle Beneath the Earth for MGM, where at the age of 18, I lead the whole American army underneath the Pacific in a tunnel to stop the Chinese invading China, because they were invading America through channels underneath the seabed of the Pacific Ocean. And we went down a volcano in Hawaii. I mean, I must say I was really young, and I felt that I was a little bit too young, you know, to do this. But you know what? Work is work. Why would I refuse it? They were happy to have me. And it's a movie called Battle Beneath the Earth with Kerwin Matthews. And I don't know, I mean, at the moment, that's what comes to mind of the films I did. Of course, I did the pilot movie for the series I Spy with Bill Cosby and Robert Culp, which then iconically, through my first movie, it was like a film, but then the series came from.
Right. Yeah. Out of all the credits, do you have one that's your particular favorite?
I must say, I really loved doing the movie with Cliff Richards, Finders Keepers. It was very clean, proper, musical, and Cliff was at his best at that. Well, he's still at his best, but you know, it was the time when he was really up there. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed him. I enjoyed the shadows, and I enjoyed the constant shift of the movie. The theme is Peggy Mount is in it, Robert Morley is in it, Graham Stark is in it. So there was a lot of humor going on as well as music.
I'm sure we're all probably going to get these titles after tonight's event and have a little look at your work. I'm sure we'll all enjoy doing that. So I think as we go along this evening, I've no doubt we'll probably touch on perhaps more of your career highlights as we go along. And if anybody has any questions about anything that, you know, can be Persuaders, but it can be also anything else in Viviane's career, then just put the message in the chat and we'll.
I just want to say something that, you know, I started by working in repertory companies, and I was at Colchester Rep, and these jobs I used to get, I mean, you used to get paid £20 a week. And I was an assistant stage manager, plus I was also the whisperer plus special effects agent for the play. And things like, for instance, the play we were doing was Worm's Eye View, and the whole second act happens with the rain. So the actors on stage are referring all constantly, has the rain stopped? Has the rain stopped? Oh, look, it's raining more. And I was behind stage holding this enormous wooden box with nails in it and dry peas. And I had to turn this box that if you do it, it really does sound like the rain. So when the actors would say, oh, it's raining stronger, it meant I had to turn the box a lot faster, you know. Then, of course, I was the replacement for an actress if she couldn't perform. So I also had to know the lines of the lead actress in the play. I mean, it was really slave work. And of course, we lived in digs, which I'm not going to go and describe, but it was rooms at the top of a house without an elevator. And you had a full, almost 18-hour day work at the theater. And the other job, of course, I had to do was to go and borrow the props for each play. But unfortunately, the assistant stage managers before me never bothered to return the props to the stores. And Colchester is not a very, very large city. It's a big town, but it's not a city. And I used to go into the department stores to ask if I could borrow a lamp for the play or borrow a sofa. And they would throw me out because they said, we've never had our things returned. Where are they? So, I mean, it was but while I was at Colchester, I got my first film break. I auditioned for Highwind in Jamaica, which was a 20th Century Fox, starring Anthony Quinn and James Coburn. And I auditioned for the lead, Margaret. And lo and behold, I got the part. And I also got a 7-year contract offered by 20th Century Fox. And before I knew it, after we finished filming in Jamaica, I was off to Hollywood. My life was done, so I thought.
Well, that's fascinating to start to your career. I mean, obviously, again, I think we're touching it as we go. So Highway in Highway in Jamaica was a good film as a starting point.
Yes, it was my stepping stone.
Well, what are your memories of James Coburn and
Anthony Quinn, yes, yeah. Which was unforgettable. Anthony Quinn was unforgettable for me. I was 17 years old, you know, and he was just a great teacher and very compassionate and helpful. And he taught me how to play chess, among other things, you know, because we were all filming in Jamaica on ships all day, every day. And we had a lot of breaks, you know, filming on pirate ships is very complicated. So in between the breaks, he said to me, Viviane, do you play chess? I said, no, Anthony, I don't. I said, I've got to teach you because we've got too much free time and I need a player with me. So I had to learn chess really quickly and be challenging to him because he was a man of very little patience.
Ah, I see. And James Coburn again was nice.
Charming, absolutely charming. Yeah, he was just delightful. In Jamaica, in the area we were with, there was a legend on the White Witch of Rose Hall, which was a white English person that went to live in Montego Bay and bought this huge farm with sugarcane plantations. And they say that she haunts her property at night by full moon. And it wasn't my idea, but it was James Coburn's idea. When the full moon came in Jamaica, he came knocking on our doors. We're going to go find the Witch of Whitehall. And he took us to this property, which was abandoned. Now it's a hotel, but then it was abandoned, to look for this witch. And I mean, I might have to tell you, I think I saw her. She's behind that wall, but don't come because she only wants to see me. That's James speaking to me.
Yeah. That's very interesting. Yes, that's well. Thank you very much for that brilliant introduction to your career and your projects. I think that's a lovely way to start the evening. So I think what we'll do is we'll play the episode now, and obviously and then we'll continue our chat as we go through. So if everybody has their remotes to hand, I'll do a little countdown, and then we'll all press play together. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and play. Okay, so hopefully the episode's playing for everybody. So Viviane, how did the Persuaders come about? How were you cast in the show?
Well, you know, I was cast much earlier on. I became very good friends with Roger Moore. Mm-hmm. I was about 17 when he did the series The Saint. And I not only did one episode with him, but I played 2 episodes with him.
Oh, yes.
I have to tell you that Roger, for me, was the grand gentleman of show business. Mm-hmm. He was elegant, handsome, charming, caring, and especially for a beginner like me, you know. And I think he liked me a lot because I spoke Italian. And at the time, he was married to a wonderful woman called Luisa, who was Italian, who spoke English, but preferred to keep it to Italian. Right. So it was like a common denominator. And I met Luisa, and we became great friends, actually. And Roger always kept an eye for me. So when the series The Persuaders came along and there was this particular part for me to play, Spanish lady of Spanish origin, he absolutely asked for me to be, tested for the part. And I did, and I got the part. And always great to spend time with Roger.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's lovely that he remembered you and kept you in mind, and that's really wonderful.
Yeah.
Was it director Leslie Norman that you would have done your audition for? Would it have been one of the producers, say,
Well,
say?
normally what we would do is like for instance, Roger did another thing when he was the Bond, the most famous Bond ever and the most wonderful, handsome, cool Bond. He asked me to test, and Terence Young was directing the movie, and he wanted me to be his love interest in one of the Bond movies. So the test was a test in bed, amorous test, okay? At that time, things were made discreetly. It's not like it's done today where, you hear the huffs and puffs and you see the bodies, but you assume that it's happening. However, there was kissing and embracing and all that. And when I finished the test, Roger said, Viv, you did really well. I think this is going to work out. So I couldn't believe it. My God, I've got an opportunity to be a Bond girl. And about 3 days later, Roger says, I'm picking you up. I'm taking you to a screening. Don't ask me any questions. So he came by, he picked me up, and we went to a screening, and it was my test he was going to show me. So we saw the test, and then the lights went on, and he said, now you give me your opinion, Viviane, your honest opinion. Well, Roger, I think I did it well, but I think that the age difference really shows. And he said, you've got it right, my girl. If you were my Bond girl, they're going to accuse me of being a pedophile. You're just photographed way too young to be my love interest. I just wanted to see it for yourself so you can understand. It really had nothing to do with your acting, just the way you present yourself. And that's the only reason that Terence and I decided that you can't have the part. But that was the most wonderful, wonderful rejection in my career, It was very sensitive, it was caring, it was gentle.
Yeah, not many people would have taken the time to go through it and explain it in that way. So that's lovely that he did that.
Well, normally my agent would call and say, Viv, you haven't got the part. That's it, But this was something else. It was elaborate. He took me to see the screening test, and he was as gentle as he could be. Of course, I was very disappointed, but I also understood why.
Well, was this for Live and Let Die, his first film, or was this?
Philip, I'm really sorry, but I cannot remember what film it was for. Maybe it would come later on in the program. I'm sorry.
That's all right. If you think about it, but obviously it's not too important. So obviously, because everybody I think obviously loves Roger Moore, either for The Persuaders, The Saint, or Bond, and for those lucky enough to meet him, and I've been lucky enough to do that a couple of times and see him to do various talks and what have you. He always comes across as being, he doesn't disappoint. He does seem to be that genuine
never.
person.
And it doesn't matter who you are, he didn't make differences of whether you were famous or you were rich or you were known. He was equally wonderful with the press, with anybody working on the set. So attentive and never wanted to impose too much. And he had a great sense of humor, he was always making everybody laugh. And, I tested for The Persuaders like everyone else must have done. And I was very pleased that I really got the part on merit, and pleased to be able to spend time with Roger. But I have to say that on the first day of filming, I'm on the set sitting in my chair, and Tony Curtis comes up to me and introduces himself. I hadn't met Tony Curtis. And, he chats me up, and he was very charming and everything. And at that moment, Roger appears. And when he appears and walks over to me, Tony turned around and left. So I thought, well, he's going to let Roger speak to me. And the words that came out of Roger's mouth to me was, Viv, you've got to know on this set, it's either Tony or me. You've got to choose, but it can't be both. And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, I'm your friend. He's not your friend. And there was a big duel and a big brushing and a little bit of dislike going on between the two of them. You would have never noticed it on screen.
No,
ever.
You wouldn't. Sure. I mean, obviously, because from what I know about the history of the show, I know they didn't spend as much time, well, if not any time at all, off screen. They didn't hang out. They didn't social.
Absolutely none whatsoever. Yeah.
That fits into your memories, definitely.
Yeah. No. I mean, I was told straight out.
Oh, yeah.
You're either going to be his friend or you're going to be my friend on this set, but you can't be both, And I didn't hesitate. I said, Roger, I love you. You're my friend and you're my, my guideline. And there's no question. I don't have to choose.
Oh, that's
and of course, then Tony, I have to tell you, treated me with a lot of froideur on the set.
Right.
He was not nice to me. I was very polite. I'd say good morning and he'd go good morning and walk away,
But were they professional with each other or?
Unbelievably professional, because if I really told you that they never had meals together, and you're on the set, you're all the time together. They never sat together, and they avoided each other off the set. But the moment the camera was rolling, you would never, ever know what was going on. And something, I am not sure what the reason for this intense dislike was. Roger never discussed it with me.
Yeah, I know that from Tony Curtis's point of view, this was his first TV series, so his first non-Hollywood role. So maybe he didn't feel that comfortable doing TV, because obviously now, of course, TV is...
Probably thought it was below him or something. Yeah, it was something like that. And, of course, Roger was so loved by everybody, that I don't know, maybe it was just the currents on the set that he wasn't that happy with.
Yeah, it could have been, or maybe just a bit sort of chalk and cheese, as different sort of personalities perhaps.
But off camera, you felt it like a draft coming into the set, it was unbelievable.
So in between takes and, setups and things, it doesn't sound like it was perhaps the most pleasant atmosphere.
I was thrilled to be with Roger, and Roger was as funny and as charming as ever on the set. He always was, and adorable with everybody, the tea lady, the electrician, the sweeper, the assistant stage manager, with everybody. I mean, it didn't stop his personality lighting up, whereas Tony was always in a corner grunging.
And how long were you on the episode for? Was it usually about sort of 7-10 days to film something?
I think it was about 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I can't actually remember, but it was about, they book you for 3 weeks in case something goes wrong. Yeah, and we had early day starts. I was picked up every morning at 6:30 to be at the studio by 7:30 and be ready on the set by 8:30.
And what was it like shooting at Pinewood Studios compared to because obviously there's quite a bit of location work for this episode. Did you enjoy that?
I didn't go to France and I didn't go to Spain. I mean, all those shots were done on location, but I was not there. I filmed everything in London at Pinewood Studios.
So it's all, and obviously on
even the house where I was kidnapped and I was freed was a film set.
Because they did have quite an impressive backlot at Pinewood.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist anymore, but that allowed them to double for places that normally you'd have to go.
The scene of the hotel in the south of France. I wasn't in the south of France. That was also a Pinewood set. It was incredible.
Oh yeah, you can't see the join, can you? I think with the Saint, because the budget was a little bit less, sometimes you could tell if it was, you know, um, back projection and all that sort of thing. But I think the Persuaders had a higher production value.
Look, somebody's just noted that the hotel was in Beaconsfield on the
Oh,
A40.
right, yes. I'm sure there's lots of Persuaders fans that have been to quite a few locations, so I think I'll add that to my list.
Yeah.
So, do you have any memories of your co-stars? Because in the episode, there was David Cargill, Ricardo Montes.
Who was my boyfriend who double-crossed me? I can't remember the actor's name.
That was a gentleman called Ralph Bates.
Oh, of course, Ralph Bates. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, he was nice. He was very nice. He was very appropriate for the role, you know.
Yeah.
God knows why I was in love with him. I mean, I'm talking about in the episode.
Yeah.
But I was, you know, I mean.
They do seem quite different personalities. So Joseph has said he's been to the hotel twice in 2007 and 2019. A lot of the location footage for the episode was filmed in Black Park, next to Pinewood.
Which is a lot that Pinewood had, yeah, next to Pinewood Studios.
Yeah, because obviously they use the actual stately house a lot in the Persuaders, and obviously the Black Park again conveniently backing on to Pinewood. So they seem to have it all there. Yes, Lorenzo just said that the Spanish Village was also the set on Pinewood Studios.
Yeah.
So I quite agree with you what you say about with Ralph Bates, that they do seem to be quite chalk and cheese. You know, sort of you do think how they have that relationship in the story, but I suppose as written, Lisa is a very sort of quite naive.
Yeah.
Sort of,
well, that's where the acting comes in, no, doesn't it? When you have to pretend, or believe in what you're doing. Very good actor, Ralph Bates, I have to say.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Got that mean look in his face that he would do something like this.
I think he did play a lot of villains in his career, I believe. So it's kind of sort of that. Maybe somebody just was naturally good at that, or had this, the face for it. Perhaps I don't know, but it was he quite a nice guy to work with.
Very nice, very very professional, you know. And I mean, I kind of designed, you know, because of the stress of the timing and the hours and how long we had to be there. For me, it's a pleasure to have actors that are on time, that know their lines, that you know, are there and ready, in other words. And Roger was one of those. Roger was never late, never ever late. And he was ready and able, and he knew exactly what had to be done.
What was Tony again professional in terms of being on time, or was he perhaps a bit more unreliable?
He was just a little problematic sometimes about the scenes. And you know, Roger would look at me and kind of raise his eyebrows, saying to me, "Here we go again." Kind of thing, you know.
Yeah. Do you remember Sarah Lawson? She's actually on the screen at the moment.
Yes, I do. Absolutely. She was wonderful, 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 wonderful. I loved her. Completely night and day for me, of course, you know. An English flower.
Yeah. How about the gentleman playing your father? Do you recall him at all?
Yes, I do. I didn't have many scenes with him, if I recall. I didn't have many scenes with him. Yeah.
You were saying that you were saying that you're sort of very different to Sarah.
Well, I had quite a few scenes with Sarah, and you know, Sarah was a little bit older than me as well, so she was very how do you say, I felt amparada. I felt very protected, you know.
Yeah.
She was also very pro Vivian.
Yeah.
And she would tell me, "You've done this good. This is well done. You've done that," which I liked. I mean, I think this is what it's all about: learning with
Mm.
one's experience.
Oh, absolutely. Because again, obviously, you're obviously having quite big roles at quite a relatively young age. So obviously, to have people like Roger and Sarah around obviously must have been quite
And with
comfortable.
Roger, this is the relationship I had. If I had a problem with a scene and I wasn't sure, I could always discuss it with Roger and get an advice from him, and he would give it to me. So, that was the sort of friendship I had with him through his life until he passed away.
So you very much sort of stay in touch for the years.
Oh, yes, definitely, definitely.
Because
Absolutely.
that's not always something that you necessarily hear from actors. A lot of them sort of
No, no,
jobs, only two
yeah,
weeks here, there, and so it's nice
no.
you keep in touch with
I
those.
saw Roger frequently socially because we were part of the same circle. And also after, I stopped making films when I was 23 years old. I just decided I wasn't going to do any more films. I had a very good reason at the time. And obviously I had to kind of reinvent myself. So with all the contacts I got between 16 and 23, I opened my international promotions company, Vivi International, and I booked Roger to do
Yeah.
events and took him to Spain. I took him to Milano. I took him to Paris. And I also took him to Austria
Right.
for an event. So we really kept in touch.
Oh, that's lovely to hear.
Yeah.
Do you remember director Leslie Norman?
Yes, I do. Absolutely. Yes.
Because obviously his son, obviously very famous in the UK, Barry Norman, the film critic. What was Leslie like as a director? Did he let you improvise, or was he?
No, he was very well prepared again. This is what I consider really a happy team. Um, he would sometimes confer with Roger on certain scenes to see if Roger felt comfortable, which I thought was really something very generous of his part. Because there are film directors that don't give a hoot whether the actor thinks it's good or bad or whether he's comfortable with it or not. But he actually, I think he had more trouble with Tony Curtis. Things took a little longer. But of course, with Roger, without a total out of respect. And I don't forget that Roger hadn't done the Bond films as yet when we did the Persuaders. So yes, he was very well known and he was loved, but he was not the mega star that he became after the Bond movies. And Leslie was very respectful of Roger and sometimes would ask him whether he felt that this was something he'd be comfortable with. And Roger would work it out very quickly, not make it difficult, just to get on and get the day through. Whereas Tony was another matter.
Yeah. So it sounds like Roger was very much almost the glue that sort of kept the show together, along with the director. And
The thing is that when you're doing a TV series or you're doing a film, it's two completely different things. You have a lot more time when you're doing a film. On a TV series, you have a schedule that you have to get through day by day.
yeah,
And if you start falling behind, it creates a lot of problems, because first of all, you're on a budget, which is the most important thing. But on a film, there's a much more generous time element and consequence of getting things together.
I mean, do you have a preference whether you like to work in film or TV, or are they good and bad for different reasons?
For me, work was work. I was happy to work as far as I was concerned. Um, I enjoyed the films I did. I learned a few things. Filming a film, I learned how to sleep standing up, leaning against the wall. Because the days were so long, I knew how to take these short naps during the day. I mean, literally, I could just lean against the wall and have my 5-minute nap to regain strength. I learned to play chess, which meant that I learned discipline and how to work things out, not to be impulsive in anything I did. I also learned that it's very important to know your lines, and to understand what you're doing each day. I mean, I remember this has got nothing to do with the Persuaders, but I remember I was in the film Help with the Beatles.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a scene where I'm a sacrificial princess that is going to be killed by the priest and the heart taken out. And I'm lying in this slab for hours because they were trying to get the light right with the knife as the priest went like this. And then the story goes that Ringo and the Beatles turn up and Ringo saves me. Don't ask me how, but they don't kill me. But it took hours and hours to put the electrical light so that when the knife went up, the knife would go like this, the lights would shine up and everything. Finally, after 2 hours, Dick Donner was the director and he was meticulous with details. He says to the assistant director, call the boys, we're now ready. And I was lying there and I couldn't believe it. I now forgot what I had to do because then I had to sit up and go, I'm alive, And the assistant director comes over and says to Dick, and Dick's standing right next to me and says to him, Dick, I'm afraid the boys are in no condition to film now. Whatever that means, okay? Yeah. So Dick says, tea break. And then we break for tea for half an hour. And I can't believe I've been 3 hours lying on this slab waiting to be killed. And I'm still not saved. You know what I mean? But that's what happens when you're filming.
And how was Dick Donner to work with? Because obviously he's a
big director. I love Dick, but he was doing a difficult film. He was working with the Beatles, which was at the height of their fame. And he had to get through it. And they weren't actors. They were just huge singers, performers, which makes things a little more difficult, But it was okay. Help is quite a fun movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you enjoyed working with the 4 Beatles. They were
yeah.
All
and then a few weeks later, Ringo was his birthday was going to be 21, and they asked me if he said that Ringo really not likes you, but he thought you were fantastic. And he would love you to surprise him for his birthday. And you know what the surprise was? They brought in a cake, 4 guys on a thing, and I was inside the cake at his birthday party. So they took the lid off the cake and I popped out of the cake. Happy birthday, Ringo.
That sounds quite something, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've just frozen a second, but I think sorry, Vivian, your screen's just frozen. Hopefully it'll catch up.
I don't know. I seem to be okay here. I've got good internet, so.
Oh, you're back now. It might be my connection. That's you're fine now. So obviously you were saying about preparation for a role, and obviously you very much like to obviously know your lines inside out. Would you do any other preparation for a role like the Persuaders in terms of building your character, or would it be very much the script you would rely on?
Well, I decided very early on in life that if I was going to do this and be competent and be alive and be well, never to drink alcohol and never to smoke, which is something I've never done my entire life. And I'm very glad I took those decisions. It made me take decisions to be able to get up so early in the morning and to be able to function all day and to look as good as you possibly could, I've never suffered hangovers. I've never not turned up for work. I've never been late. I've really complied with the rules and regulations, which are absolutely the most important thing in the filmmaking, to be respected by your co-workers, especially,
Yeah. So say one of your secrets is obviously having that discipline in the industry.
And then obviously, you know, your food consumption, you know, it's been an eternal, lifelong diet, one might say, you know, never to indulge in what one shouldn't. As they say, 1 minute on my lips, forever on my hips. So
Yeah.
always beware of that.
So with a, you know, because obviously something like the Persuaders is obviously a relatively short filming period, but obviously if you're filming something for a few months, you've got to obviously maintain that, you know, you can't
A
put on.
routine. You have to learn to have a routine, yes. And you have to learn to enjoy reading, you know, because of all the free time and moments you have on the set, you have to be able to get your mind still going, you know. So I did read a lot, books, novels, whatever I had to read, you know.
This is quite a good scene with the four of you, Ralph, Tony, and Roger. Do you remember much about specific scenes sort of filming, or is it, or are your memories sort of more general when it comes to the episode?
No, I mean, I just remember that I thought the episode was interesting. I thought the storyline was very good, and working with Roger was just heaven. I mean, I was felt very lucky, you know, very lucky.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, uh, so obviously, so we've got a couple of questions that have come in. So just trying to think what's be a good one to start with. Um, I think I had some questions about what it's like to hang out with the actors between. Would you hang out with any of the actors between takes? Obviously not with Tony, but would you spend much time with, say, Ralph Bates or Sarah?
I would when we had our days when it was just him and I filming. Absolutely. I mean, the whole magic and secret to have a happy day is to get to know your companion, who you're kissing on the screen, and who you're having a close relationship. You know, you have to, because otherwise it just makes it very difficult.
Oh yeah,
you,
yeah,
you,
absolutely.
you, be, you become a family. It's like a family for the period that you're doing the film. And then you then part ways, you know, and that's it.
And did you ever find that difficult, sort of developing close relationships and then moving on to something else? Or was that part of the attraction as an actor to have that kind of change?
You learn to move on, you know. But I mean, for instance, in High Wind in Jamaica, as close as I got to Tony Quinn when we were on location in Jamaica, and I got really close because he was the only one that had a proper air conditioned dressing room. The rest of us were in these hot, but you know, fresh air, but still hot areas. And I was invited to go and share the dressing room with Tony, where we played chess. We you know, I speak Spanish and he's Mexican, and he enjoyed speaking Spanish with me. And I guess he played a little bit of Pygmalion role with me by teaching me how to play chess and choose the books you want to read on a set. And, you know, he enjoyed that. He really enjoyed that role. But the only person I really kept good relationship was with Nigel Davenport, who plays one of the fathers in the movie. Not my father, but plays the father of one of the leading girls, because there's 6 children in the movie, and I'm the eldest one.
Yeah.
And with Cliff, I mean, I've seen Cliff over the years. This funny thing is that I took to see my daughters and grandchildren the pantomime he was in.
All right. Yes.
You know, and
Yeah.
that was something incredible, because obviously my grandchildren had seen Finders Keepers. Um, and Roger, you know, my daughters met Roger as well, but that was because I was very friendly with Louisa.
Yeah.
And so we were always invited to go out and have pasta at their home. He had a home outside in the countryside. And we also went skiing in the same place. So we saw each other at Christmas in Stad. But it's funny. And with Peter O'Toole on Lord Jim, I booked a lot, Peter, after I had my international promotions company. I booked him many, many times. I took him to Spain. I took him to Rome. I took him to the Caribbean. But I can't say that I was friends with Peter. We enjoyed each other's company and, you know, nice, but business was business. It's tough. It's hard. You know, everybody moves on and everybody's very busy and they do their lives, you know.
Well, it's obviously still lovely that you are having those connections with people like Peter and Roger, and so and nobody's forgetting each other, which is obviously quite nice.
Yeah.
I did have a question come in from Remco. He wanted to know. I'm just trying to think. Do you have any particular funny stories regarding Tony and Roger Moore? Obviously, because Roger obviously is very famous for his practical jokes. Did you ever get any practical jokes on set?
For me, the funniest was when my first day on the set, that Tony Curtis rushed over to speak to me. Very bubbly and very, you know, it's welcome on board. This is going to be great. You're as beautiful as they told me you are, and you're going to be great in this role. Da, 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 da. And then at that point, Roger arrived and he switched off completely and run off. And I thought, oh, he respects Roger. And that's when Roger told me, you can't be talking to Tony and talking to me. You've got to choose. And that was, you know, I mean, I didn't have a problem. There was no question I was going to choose Tony over Roger. But that's there and then I had to make that decision. I'd never been in that situation, you know, but it was what it was.
It sounds like an interesting first day.
Yeah, it was very interesting first day.
I had a question from John, because there's lots of scenes when you're with Roger and Tony and you're trying to get away from them. There's lots of struggling sort of going on. Would a lot of that been rehearsed, or would a lot of it be in the moment, or how would you go about those sort of scenes?
We rehearsed the scenes, but not as we actually did them when we were filming. Okay, maybe we will rehearse the movements. I'm going to grab you by the arms, and then I'm going to turn you around, for example.
Yeah.
And we would kind of do the gestures, but we wouldn't do the actual scene because we preferred to release the energy of the scene when we were actually doing it.
It keeps it fresh then, doesn't it? Of course, it's not.
Yeah.
So you rehearse it, but not to the point where it becomes unnatural, shall we say?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it's for it to become natural. I mean, because, you know, the scenes were not that hard. I mean, it was just a question of saying, I'm coming in through the door and I'm going to grab you by the arms like this. And they kind of, that kind of rehearsal we did. But then the actual shot was on the spot.
I wanted to know, because obviously we mentioned obviously the director, but did you have anything to do with the producers, Robert S. Baker or Johnny Goodman?
No, they were on the set, but you know, I was not in a position of experience to say whether I liked something or didn't like something. And you know, everybody behaved absolutely correctly at the top. You know, the director and the producers and the script writer. I mean, there was nothing that I had to complain about, you know. And yeah, with Ralph, we rehearsed our scenes, the dialogue scenes, prior to filming it. But again, the rehearsal was not an intense rehearsal. It was like a palabra, you know, we would palabra it. And then when we did the scene, it had the intensity of the lines we had to say.
Oh, absolutely. Because obviously, having done a couple of the Saints, a lot of the crew were the same on the Saints and the Persuaders. So that's kind of so. But you didn't have
the Saint was done a few years prior to this, before, and I have to tell you, as I remember my Saint episodes with Roger, everything went boom, 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 boom. There was no time for anything. And you had to be good because they took one take and that was it. I mean, it wasn't as though, oh, Viviane, you turn your head to the left and we couldn't see your face properly. If you turn your head to the left and you couldn't see it properly, that's tough for you, my girl. So There was no time to rectify. And
Right.
I guess it's because of having to deliver each episode, each day, each call sheet, what we had to do.
So it
On the
sounds like
Persuaders,
yeah.
there was a little more time, more largesse, to incorporate everything.
So it sounds like you may have had more sort of 5 or 6 days for the same, more to 10 to 2 weeks
Yeah,
for the Persuaders. So the Saint sounds like it was shot almost like a live performance. Is that right?
correct. Yeah, that's good too. Yeah.
Was that more difficult than say the Persuaders because you knew you could
That
get
was definitely more difficult because it isn't as though you could do 1, 2, 3, 4 takes,
yeah.
It was like a one take situation and you had to get it right. And again, I think the first episode I did with Roger, I was 16 years old, very young.
We've just seen on screen now an actor called Michael Caliber. Do you remember Michael at all? Was in this? Was
No.
he?
What did he play?
He was the guy that's in cahoots with Ralph Bates. So they're both in on
The plot, right.
Yeah. So it's mostly Sarah and Ralph that you've got the memories of because a lot of the other people, I guess, were just in for a day or two, and that's kind of it, really. Did you have any advice from any, say, stunt performers or anything when it came to more of the physical side of it, or were you?
No, I think Roger had a stunt man, that worked out his moves, and Tony as well.
Yeah.
But I was, always directed by the director, but also Roger, he kind of guided me through it all very well.
And do you have a particular favorite scene from the Persuaders episode, or?
Oh God, I've got to be careful. I don't know, something's gone wrong with my laptop.
Oh.
It's everything's spinning around. Oh wait, I've got it. You know what? I love the scene where Roger and I meet for the first time.
Oh yes.
I love the face he makes when he meets me. When I come out of the elevator and I'm with Sarah, I think, Lawson.
Yeah.
Okay. I love that scene. Roger did one of his Roger Moore things, which he makes you feel $1 million.
Oh yeah, they had a certain look, didn't he? So,
yeah, his look, yeah.
His charm and charisma for sure. I don't know if you were aware, and forgive me if I'm wrong about this, but I believe that your voice, your vocal performance for the episode, or at least part of it, was then dubbed by another actress. Were you aware of that?
No, I wasn't aware of that.
I've got a feeling it might be the lady called Nikki Vandersil. She did a lot of the Bond actresses in the early Bond films. So Dr. No, Goldfinger, those sort of the ones in the 1960s. And when I was watching the episode a couple of days ago, I thought I heard her sort of signature voice rather than, because I've watched your episode, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and your voice seems to be very different from The Man from U.N.C.L.E. and then the Persuaders. And I was wondering whether it was.
I tell you where I know my voice was dubbed was in the film Battle Beneath the Earth.
Yeah.
Because it just sounded like a too young a voice of leading all the American army. I mean, the whole American Army, Air Force. I was this way, soldiers. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Now I know that they dubbed me because they also gave me like a Hawaiian accent, and that I was dubbed. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I know Nikki did dub quite a few people for the Persuaders. Sometimes she would dub just perhaps a few lines they just wanted a bit different, or sometimes she would do whole performances. So I'd have to look into it a bit more to see if she
Yeah.
did some, or perhaps all of your role. But would you been told if your performance was going to be dubbed, or would you just find out when you saw?
Well, I would have thought so, you know. I mean, I must tell you, I wasn't told that they were going to dub part or some of my scenes. But you know what? It doesn't matter for me. I mean, I think that's what they needed. I'm happy to, you know, comply with that decision.
Because I know. Sorry,
No,
Vivian?
it's just got to be right, and that's it.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes for it to be right.
So you're very much about what if the final product requires it, then you're happy
Yeah,
to block it.
absolutely.
Because I know there was a few Bond actresses that weren't told that they were redubbed, and then when they went to the premiere, they heard somebody else's voice over their performance. And I think probably because they weren't told that they,
Hmm.
I think got quite offended by it. You know, obviously reasonably enough, but again, if you have the actual, I think your actually is a lovely one to have. If it fits the performance, if it's what the scene needs, then
I think the worst thing that can happen is I did a film called The Adventures of Brigadier Gerard with Claudia Cardinale and an English actor. I can't remember. I was in Rome for 3 months and they paid me an absolute fortune. And I played a general's wife. And I wasn't, how can I say it? Well, I was not an element that was important to the storyline of the film, but it was a part of the film.
yeah.
And we filmed it in Cinecittà. And I was, as I said, 3 months in Rome. And when the film finally came to London for the premiere, my scenes were completely cut off.
Oh.
I didn't appear on the film, although I had credit in the film, okay? And when I went to the producer and I said, what the hell's happened? Viv, listen, I'm really sorry, but the film was too long. And your scenes with your husband and the part of the husband, I mean, the general was also cut off completely, which was a very big actor called Franco Nero. You know, he was very well known. He played my husband in it. And I said, but don't you think you should notify me? Because here I am sitting with my daughters and they're going, Mommy, where are you? Mommy, when do you appear? Yeah, that's a bummer.
Oh yeah. It sounds like you've got to have quite a thick skin to be an actor.
Oh, you listen, let me tell you, for that business, you have to grow a crocodile skin.
Yeah.
You've got to grow a crocodile because you've got to know how to deal with rejection. Your eyes are too dark, your hair is not long enough, it's the wrong color, you're not tall enough, your voice is not low enough, your body is not right, you know. I mean, just a million things. And you've got to learn to accept rejection, you know. It's not easy. It's not easy.
No, that doesn't sound it at all. No. With a role like Lisa in the Persuaders, would you be able to add suggestions, and would you develop her character, or were you very much sticking to the script? Did you have certain freedom to explore what you
That's
wanted?
what I was saying. Roger would sometimes have objections in something that he had to do. Not objections, but he felt that it should be done in a different way. And he would always discuss it with the director, but side apart, you know, like nobody, not in front of everybody. Tony was a little more aggressive about that. He would say, no, this is not right. I can't do this. But, you know, in front of everybody on the set. And me, if there was a problem on something that I had to do, I would just go to Roger and talk to him about it and see what he thought about it and get his advice. And most of the time he would say, you just have to take it this way and do it this way and you feel comfortable.
Oh yeah.
But the part in the Persuaders was not a complicated part, you know, I mean, it was quite easy to do, and you know, it really ran very smoothly. And I'm very, very flattered that it's been chosen, my episode out of all the episodes, you know, for this discussion.
I think it's as I said before, one of the best episodes that I think they did of the show, and and obviously that partly because obviously of the great performances that we're seeing. But obviously, it's Leslie Norman was obviously one of the best Persuaders directors. It was a very well written episode, so I think it's one of those that everything comes together in a wonderful way. I mean, have you seen other episodes of the show?
I think I saw one or two of the show, but at the time when it came out, Roger told me that our episode was considered one of the best of the series.
Yeah.
So I was told that many years ago, by Roger, in fact.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So obviously, as you say, it was an easier thing to shoot to say the Saint. Obviously, you mentioned that you retired from acting. Do you ever miss acting? Do you ever wish that you stuck with it?
You know how one says that one should live one's life with no regrets? If I were to say that if I had a regret, maybe it was not the right decision for me at the time. I do miss it. I do miss that kind of life, and I really enjoyed doing it. And I think I wasn't too bad at it. It would probably gone better and better as the years went, because as you mature, you grow into it a lot better and understanding it. But I had a very rough time in Hollywood, very rough time. I was under contract to Fox, but it was, I'm not going to go into it now. You're going to have to buy my new book that's coming out. It's called Viviane Ventura's 1001 Nights, where I tell everything.
I'll go hold of that.
Everything, yeah. And it was very, very rough. And when I met my future husband, Frank Duggan, he was on business in LA, and he asked me if I wanted to come back to London. I just didn't hesitate. And I'd only been in Hollywood for 3 years.
Yeah.
And I packed my bags and left and broke my contract.
Right.
And Daryl Zana called me from Paris to tell me that he was going to take me to the cleaners and to court for breaking my contract. And I just said to him, I said, Daryl, you do whatever you want to do, but I promise you that if you sue me, I am definitely going to tell them what's going on in Hollywood at 20th Century Fox and what kind of contract players you're running. Okay, so tit for tat, you choose which way you want to go. And he never sued me, of course.
No, good for you. So because obviously you were brought up in London, and obviously you went to America. Obviously,
well, I was brought up in South America, in Colombia. I was from the age of 1 till I was 12.
Yeah.
And then from Colombia, we came back to England, where I finished my school, my education. And that's where it all started. That's when I decided I wanted to be an actress, and went to Ada Foster's, which is a children's drama school, and then went on to the repertory company, which, was quite an experience.
Were the other members of your family that were actors? Was it sort of a...
No, I pulled my brother into the Battle Beneath the Earth, and he played the role of an American soldier. But I remember sitting on the set with him, and he went, you know what, Viviane, this isn't for me. And he became a jeweler in London.
Yeah. I was just wondering if you, because obviously we're getting towards the end of the episode now, I was just wondering if you had any sort of final memories of your time on the show.
Well, just to say that I consider myself immensely lucky and very rich, having had such a great and wonderful friendship with Roger Moore. It couldn't have happened with a better human being, a wonderful actor, wonderful man. And, I miss him. I miss him a lot.
Yeah. Well, for me, he was my Bond, a person that I thought was the best James Bond, and growing up with shows like The Persuaders.
No, it was just everything about him, everything about him. And, his luncheons at the house with his wife. Luisa spoke English like this, like a true Italian. Now, Roger, where is the plate for the pasta? And every time, I mean, that's how she, real wife, you know. And Roger would look at me and raise his eyes and go, I can't bear her, but she makes the best pasta in the world, you know.
Yeah, it sounds like something he would definitely say.
Yeah.
I mean, having obviously worked in the UK on various TV series and films, and then obviously in the States, did you find there's a difference in working in the two countries? And
Yes, I definitely did. I found that there was more humanization working in England.
yeah,
I found working in America was very clinical.
right.
If I can, if I'm saying it the right way.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You know, I was a contract player. So what happened was that the studio would lend me out to do all this Man from Uncle, the Loner, the Don Smart Show, the Wild Wild West. They would lend me out. I would go and audition, obviously, and get the part. And then I wouldn't get paid. Fox would get paid. Fox had me on salary, and set salary, which is peanuts. I don't know how I managed, but managed.
Yeah.
And my salary didn't come to me; it went to Fox.
Right.
And so we were, you know, contract players. But you know, they wanted us to do other obligations, you know, other things, which I just wasn't prepared to do.
Oh yeah. So it seems that I think a lot of people in that period were, they say, contract players. That's why a lot of people seem to have similar credits like Man from Uncle, I Spy, and Wild West, that sort of thing. So again, obviously that was part of what they were.
Funny enough, the I Spy lead I got in the film, which I really enjoyed working with Bill Cosby and Robert Carl. And it was the first of all that then made it the television series. My episode was the one that decided that this could be a great series. We filmed it around the Greek islands on this mega yacht, and I was 3 months on a yacht going from island to island to island. And I must say it was close encounters, you know, with Bill and with Robert. Enjoyed their company tremendously. And the producers, Mort Fine, and I can't remember oh my God, the same producer of Dynasty. He passed away a few years ago. Anyway,
Can't recall.
Senior moment. But you know, it was a family, a floating family, which was wonderful experience.
I mean, one of my favorite shows, was I don't think we probably have time to go into now, but is the Man from Uncle, and obviously.
Oh God, yes.
Very good. Perhaps we could talk about that another time, possibly. But,
yeah. David McCallum was an absolute charm. He's English, David.
Yes, and lives in the States.
Mr. Vaughan is something else, let me tell you.
It's interesting that David, being an Englishman, went to America, and Robert was so in love with the Ritz, London, the West End, all that sort of thing. So they kind of
David McCallum never lost his British spot, you know. He still had that gentleman side, and he was a pleasure. Yeah. Maybe that's why they put him with, is it Richard or Robert Vaughan? Because it's such a contrast, you know, of personalities. Yeah.
Yeah, I would love to delve into that a bit deeper with you at some point, perhaps. But that sounds quite an interesting opportunity.
Any more details of that, you're gonna have to buy my book.
Oh, I'll happily buy your book. I'll plug the book. I'll buy multiple copies, whatever you want. Let's see what questions we have. Lorenzo has said, Miss Ventura, my girl and I are watching you on a big screen and on a computer screen, and we are impressed. You haven't changed. So that's a nice compliment.
I'm just hoping if the lighting is good. You know, it's so complicated. Thank you very much. That really is a great compliment.
Thank you, Lorenzo.
I have changed. I get senior moments now.
Do you find it easy to watch yourself? Especially so long ago. Do you?
Listen, I decided a long time ago, and it's been an extraordinary odyssey of my life,
Hmm.
that I would embrace everything that comes with time. You just can't fight it. If you embrace it, then your personality, your warmth, the way you look at things remains very healthy. The only thing that I couldn't embrace was the word grandmother.
Right.
And I have to tell you something. I've got 5 grandchildren, and we had a summit meeting.
Hmm.
And I brought this subject up and I said, now listen to me. I hate the word grandmother. I don't mind the role of the grandmother,
Hmm.
but I do not like this word. I don't like it in Spanish, French, English, Italian, Arabic, or German. Those are the languages I speak.
Hmm.
So we're going to have to find a name that is good for you and a name that I can accept. And we've all voted these names, and we came up with the name Bibi.
Ah, yes.
So I'm called Bibi, and I'm happy with that. It's the only problem I've had, the only issue about growing older and accepting what life brings.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think there are certain milestones of things that can be difficult, but yeah, that sounds lovely. Just see if I've got any other comments. Oh, Joseph had a bit more to say about the hotel exteriors used in the episode. So it has been it's been altered quite a lot obviously since 1971. It was also used in an episode of The Professionals in 1978. So obviously it's one of those things that's
Yeah, good, good.
quite a lot. Um, Something else. I had a comment from John because obviously we're talking about Ralph Bates playing a lot of villainous roles, and John's commented that he had a big comedy role in a show called Dear John in the early 80s. So that would be quite nice to obviously played their sort of parts. Um, it, I mean, did you find that you always sort of tends to play the glamorous
I
character?
just think that Ralph has such a strong
Yeah.
face,
Mm,
and he could never play a good guy,
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
got those features that
Mm,
wouldn't fit in for
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And to come up with this plot about kidnapping myself and asking my father to pay $1 million and then stealing the money. I mean, that was just beyond words.
Yeah.
So he was just very right for the part,
Oh,
his
yeah.
features were right for the part.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. You
But
say he.
he's not like what he looks like, I must say,
No.
he's
No.
a very
Yeah.
nice guy.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's often the case, isn't it? The people that tend to play these very villainous roles tend to be the nicest people in the world, and sometimes vice versa. So,
Yeah.
but I suppose.
But some of the actors have that look, that is perfect. Like Clint Eastwood played all his life these cowboys, and it was like a suit made out for him. He was perfect for it.
Yeah.
You
I suppose
know.
a bit like Roger Moore, he could never play villains or anything because he.
Oh my God, you would
Hero.
never. He could never be nasty. It's impossible. He would laugh. I mean,
I,
you know,
I
he'd
think he
kill
always.
you with kindness.
Yeah, I think I don't know whether you got the impression of this from Roger or not, but I think he always wanted to do more sort of meaty acting, and perhaps he felt because of he always looked like a classic hero that he didn't get perhaps some of the more sort of interesting acting roles. Perhaps maybe he was a little bit frustrated
But
occasionally.
just to tell you how Roger was, the last time I booked him to come to Vienna for a charity to raise money for the homes of retired people, old people, for old
Hmm.
people's homes.
Yeah,
And all he had to do in the contract, I mean, obviously I paid him a very nice fee, but all he had to do is go to a go-kart track where they were having this special event on go tracking, and he was going to shoot the gun to the start and give the award to the winner.
yeah,
And the money collected in this race was going to go to the old people's homes. When he arrived in Vienna at the hotel at dinner that first night, he said to me, Vivian, if I'm doing this for old people's homes, I want to be taken to 2 of the homes at least and meet some of the old people and shake their hands. This was not in the schedule. So we took the day before the racetrack, Instead of going to the museums we were planning to visit or the opera house, to go and visit these homes, which were outside Vienna, and meet the old people. And I cannot tell you how wonderful this was. But that's Roger, you know?
Oh,
That
yeah.
was Roger.
Yeah.
He said, I feel a hypocrite just handing over a check to them. I want to meet them. I want to shake their hands.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a wonderful story, and obviously it's something that so in keeping with Roger Moore's character that he would definitely do that. That's
Yeah, that was his character, you know, and I can tell you, not many stars would ask me that. They would come and do the job and get the check and give it, and boom, that's it. They're happy to do their job.
oh
But
yeah, yeah.
Roger was always a different dimension, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's wonderful. Last question I had for you is of all the roles
Don't
you,
ask me how old I am, that's all.
no, I never ask a lady how
I
old.
have to shoot you then.
But I just want to know, was there any a type of character that you would have liked to have played that you didn't, or what was your favourite sort of character to play? The good.
I have two favorite films. Gone with the Wind.
Mm.
Absolutely loved that movie. I particularly, well, I love Vivian Lee's part, and I thought she played it brilliantly. But that line of Clark Gable, frankly, madam, I don't give a damn,
Yeah,
has always stayed in my head, you know.
yeah.
And the other one is Roman Holiday. Audrey Hepburn and Cary Grant.
Oh yes, yes, of course, yes, yeah, yeah.
Those are my two favorite films of all time.
Hmm. So you would like to have played perhaps characters similar to
Either one.
one you've been happy with. I have one last question from one of our watchers, a gentleman called Henry. He's asked, how did you find driving the Aston Martin in the episode, The Persuaders? Did you remember driving?
I have one word, challenging. Because I had to look relaxed and I had to look as though I knew what I was doing. And that's where the acting comes in.
It's because it's a lovely car, but I'm guessing it might be a bit difficult to.
For me, it's too noisy, too low, and too fast, to tell you the truth, you know. But, you know, it is what it is. It is a beautiful car.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I had the chance to do one of those track days that you can do, and I drove one of the new Aston Martins, and yes, they're very low, and that's a bit sort of.
It is, and I'm quite short. I mean, I'm not very tall. I mean, I'm 5'5", but you know, I'm not a tall person. I find it very low. Well, John, that was a very interesting question.
Yeah, that was very. Thank you, Henry, for that one.
Oh, Henry.
Henry. So yes, Henry. So I just had one of the watchers, Ruth, has said, great interview, and that you're a lovely lady. So that's very nice.
Thank you.
And is there anything you'd like to add before we end the wonderful evening?
Who, me?
Oh yes. Anything else you'd like to say?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you, Philip, for I don't know whether you chose this film or not, but it's been a pleasure to be here. And I hope I haven't disappointed anybody.
Oh, not at all.
I miss show business, but I work parallel to show business now. I mean, I have a very successful international company, and I book every star under the sun. I book concerts and speakers all over the world. And I think it's important. Discipline, perseverance, knowledge, and learn. Everybody should become a sponge ultimately and just absorb what this wonderful planet, what this wonderful life gives us, you know. And it's not long enough.
No, it's not. It's going in a blink of an eye, isn't it?
You know, I had the privilege and the honor to meet Bertrand Russell. I ended up one day at his house in the country for lunch with a friend of mine. And I was speechless, you know, I was in awe of this man. And I said to him, Mr. Russell, I mean, I normally speak a lot and I can speak in 6 languages and nobody can stop me from talking, but I have no words. I'm just so in awe of being here. And he tapped my head and he said, listen, beautiful girl, I've only just started, but I know that I've got to go. And he died a week later.
Oh, that's
How
great.
about that?
How old was he?
In his 80s, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
still had that love for life at
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's what I've just said. Life is not long enough for us to try. I think you've got to try and be good and do the best you can for your loved ones. You know, like if everybody does well to their garden, wouldn't it be great? Then every garden would be good and then we'd grow, you know, but it's not
Absolutely.
like that, unfortunately.
Well, hopefully I think there's more good people than there is bad in the world. So if we all have your philosophy, then hopefully life would be fantastic. Well, it is a fantastic thing, but hopefully everyone else can share in the vision that people like you and I have. So
Yeah, yeah. I think show business is absolutely wonderful and it's a great vehicle, you know, to transmit and to teach people beauty and sensitivity. Unfortunately, not all the films are like that. And people have ripped them apart and gone to another transcendention, which, you know, is quite shocking, but it's been an incredible, incredible source of information for us and learning as well, you know.
well, yeah. I've always thought that cinema shows a mirror to the real world, and there's obviously commentary on what's happening, and hopefully people watch these things and they can learn what to do in reality from these sort of these stories and these characters.
And you know, Philip, also the great thing is that we can truly immortalize the people that are gone that deserve to be immortalized, you know?
Absolutely.
And I think that for us is little treasures that we should gather, you know? And the David Attenborough documentaries, I mean, it's incredible what what he's done in his life, and what he's taught us.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and with David Attenborough particularly, or the documentary on all the plastic in the oceans, and look at the change that brought about, people being able to see that, and that was just shows that we can change, we can make a little bit of a difference. And as you say, because we have all these wonderful shows and films like The Persuaders, people like Roger Moore, they never really go. They're still
no, they're immortalized. That's it, immortalized. And really appreciated my time in it, and I gave it my all. I have to say, I really did.
Oh yeah, and I think your work speaks that as well. So, well, I think it's a wonderful place for you to end it on. I think we did have one little thank you message I want you to read out. Eddie said, "Fantastic chat. Lovely to hear about the feuding between Curtis and Moore. Thank you, Viviane." So,
Pleasure, pleasure.
well, I just want to say on behalf of everybody that's joined us tonight, thank you very much, Viviane, for joining us, for talking about such a wonderful episode, and obviously your wonderful performance. We've loved every second of it. I very much hope that we get a chance to talk again about something perhaps in the future. I wish you well for your autobiography. When's it? Do you have a published date for it yet? Or
Probably early part of the next century. No, I mean 2022.
Okay. Well, we'll all look forward to getting a copy of that. I'm sure.
I'm telling all the truth. I'm finally telling all the truth.
Well, you've told us so many wonderful memories and things now. So if there's more in the book, I think we're all going to be pre-ordering it as soon as it's available. So we look forward to the book, and I wish you good luck with finishing that one off. Thank you very much for joining us again, Viviane. Thanks to everybody that joined us.
Philip, thank you very much, and I want to thank all the people who were in line with us, and thank you for the wonderful compliments. It really makes my day. And I'm saying goodbye from Florida.
So I'll say goodbye from England, down in Devon, and enjoy the rest of your week, Viviane. And thank you very much indeed for joining us, and everybody that tuned in. We very much appreciate it. It was lovely to chat to you this evening.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye, Philip.
Bye-bye,
Bye,
Viviane.
everyone. Bye.
Bye. Bye. So I just want to say thank you to everybody that's joined us for this evening. I hope everybody's enjoyed themselves. There will be some further watch-alongs coming up for some episodes of The Avengers, hoping to do some more episodes of The Persuaders at some point, and some films as well. This Saturday, the 17th of April, we have a Star Wars watch-along for Star Wars Episode 4 with visual effects supervisor Harrison Ellenshaw, who did models, miniatures, and matte paintings and optical effects on Star Wars Episode 4. So everyone's of course welcome to join us for that event. So in the meantime, take care and hopefully see you all in a watch along in the not too distant future. So for now, bye bye, take care and have a nice evening.